when I came back from the test drive, I was like, okay, I wish and I pray that they make a Cat A Tesla. And lo and behold, 3 months later, I saw in the news, Tesla announces or launches the Cat A Tesla Model 3. It's like, what?
This is the Cat A Tesla Model 3, the most affordable Tesla we can get here in Singapore. This car costs 198,000 Sing dollars inclusive of Cat A COE. In this video, I'm here with the owner, Marcus, who just got his car a month ago. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back then COE was lower.
Yeah, it was.
You bid it for...
I put in 95. I actually put in 92,000, and the actual COE came up to be 95,000, and that brought the total cost of the car to be about 185K. So Tesla actually put in about 3K, topped it up for me, and within a week, I got the message that the bid was successful, and I collected the car in about a month after that.
Really fast and seamless journey?
Yeah, it was. The car came to me within a month and a half, and I brought it out. Within 3 days, I got it to a wrap with one of the local workshops. And yeah, matte black is one of my dream colors to have in the car. Always wanted it for about 3-4 years, and now that I have it in person, it's beautiful to look at.
It is.
And yeah, it's a good investment, I would say, on the car.
Timing matters, and today the Cat A COE is around 103K, which is still more affordable than the Cat B COE of 116,000. So it's a fair bit of savings. So in today's video, we're going to give you a tour, exterior and interior of this Cat A Tesla Model 3. We'll experience the driving, go to a nearby charger, and we'll share with you a final verdict on who should get the Cat A version of the Tesla Model 3. Click subscribe to stay updated to more videos on Tesla. I'm now going to go behind the camera as Marcus gives us a tour of his car and tells us his story getting this vehicle.
I named the car Stella because I'm a big fan of space, and I got the name from Interstellar, and Stella is a beautiful girl's name. So the theme of the car that I went with was matte black, and I wanted to keep it as minimal as possible. So I did change out the logos from the stock silver chrome plated to a matte black. It has a bit of scratches because I think the wind, when the car is driving through the wind, the resistance in the air causes some scratches. But overall, I actually wanted trimmings on the car like gold or red, but I realized it was a bit too gimmicky, so I just went with a flat matte black texture. Took me a while to choose the right black. I was in between like a shimmery black or satin gray, but this color really came up really nice, and I would say from my visualization of what I wanted and what I actually got was pretty close. So around the car, I didn't really do much. I kept the stock wheels that came with the car. Nothing too fancy. It's a bit dirty because of the rain, but on a good day, it's pretty clean. Also along the car, I didn't do anything with the handles, all the same, just wrapping around.
For those of us who are considering wrapping our Teslas, what made you decide to wrap instead of paint?
Very good question, yes.
Tips for us to consider? Because some people say if you wrap the car, try not be under the sun for too long to protect the wrap.
Yeah, so when I got the car, it was actually white. And the main reason why I got white was because if I went with black, the overall tax value of the car is higher. So you pay more than 1,500 to change the color. On Tesla's website, if you change the color, it's technically 1,500 more. But once you get to after tax and all that, the value of the car is higher. So you actually pay $4,000. So the wrap is $2,000. So in a way, in terms of money and it's more economical to get a wrap on the stock white color. But if you were to spray paint the car, I was advised by people in the industry that the value of the car actually drops because they say typically when people change the color of the car, it's because they got into an accident and the car is damaged and they want to change the color. So when you try to sell the car, people will say, okay, the car was actually white, but you changed it to black. Why do you do that? So it actually it drops the value of the car, and so I went with a wrap instead. But interesting story that I have, if you open the door, it's actually still white on the inside. It is part intentional and part because of the labor it takes to change the color inside. But I realized because when I used to stay in New Zealand for a few years, and in New Zealand you don't have a lot of lights on the road, and I had a black car, and when I opened the door, nobody knows you're there. No, in the pitch dark environment, nobody's going to know you're there, and this white just reflects some light from oncoming cars, so that people see that you're there. It's also the same, how to say, design concept in the boot. So if you open up the boot or the trunk, it's also white on the trimmings.
That's
so
right.
People can see you from afar. And yeah, actually the Tesla has what do you call the fog lights? I think. So they do come on, but I actually haven't noticed them coming on. I think you have to turn it on. I don't know.
Correct. They will turn on when
So I think
braking.
the white trimmings actually help a bit with the nighttime, visuals. I was actually parked at East Coast Park for the destination charger, which we'll go later. It was at night, and my first time there, when I walked by, I just completely missed my car because it was so black, couldn't see it, and it took me. I went one whole round, I couldn't find my car, and I had to use the app to turn on the lights, and then I found my car. So I think this really helps at night. So yeah, on the inside, I have the.
I love the thinking, how it's both aesthetically pleasing, good contrast, and also very functional.
Yeah,
I've never heard an owner articulate it that way before.
Yeah, some people think it's weird, but I don't know. I think I would rather have it weird than to have a car hit you from the back because they can't see you. Where was I? Yeah, in the trunk. I don't actually have too much going on. It's just a little mat for the weather, waterproofing.
So you bought your own all-weather mat?
Yeah, this is from Taobao, I think. So, yeah, I was actually gonna get a fridge in the bottom.
Some owners bought
yeah,
their
they do,
fridge,
right?
huh?
Yeah. But I think you have to run the wire inside.
Correct.
On the Model 3, but on the Model Y you have a little power source.
Correct.
So yeah.
Very simple, very clean. So
Very good.
we talked about how you're not using the trunk as much, but here, because we reverse park so much and you do go out like hike or running, you do use the frunk.
I do actually.
Okay, show us the frunk and let us know
Yes.
what's your use case for it.
So when I open the front from my phone, where is it? Open front. There you go. I will actually get the soft closing front one day when I have time. It's empty now, but I usually have groceries here. When I buy lunch for my wife, I just chuck the food in here. I don't put it in the back because of the smell, and I think it's actually pretty useful. Heat-wise, I think it gets a bit hotter than the trunk, but when I have a little ice bag, it keeps everything nice and cool. So same thing with the white. I don't actually think people will hit me from the front, but I don't know. I might change the white one day. Who knows? But yeah, when I charge my car at the destination charger, it takes a while, 3-4 hours. So I do put in some, sweaty clothes in the front, and it's just fuss-free. I only wish that the car came with the soft closing, soft opening front, because this is actually a bit, chunky to close and open. And now when I close it, I have to take out my phone again and find the button that opens it. So there you go.
Very helpful look at how the frunk is being used. Now this frunk is again pretty sizable. You can put in a small backpack, suitcase, lots of food, your gym bag as well. Let us know down in the comments how you are using your frunk. And for those of you who've actually installed the soft close frunk, what's your experience with it? Like, has it lasted over the past 1 or 2 years? Has there been any challenges that you face? Now that we've seen the exterior, again, as you all know, the glass roof is standard on all Teslas, and we've got the charge port all the way in the rear left, which you'll see later when we go to one of the Tesla charging locations. Charge ports are really easy to open. You just Tap here, it opens. You've got the AC up to 11 kilowatts, and you've got a DC up to 170 kilowatts, which is great for road trips. With that, let's head inside the car together with
right.
Marcus, and let's go to the
Let's
back
hop in.
seat.
Yeah.
Let's explore the back seat a bit.
Oof.
Now, in the back seat of the car, what is not typical for price of this range is this rear touchscreen. You can control it, use aircon. I want to talk, Marcus, like, how, if at all, have you already used this rear touchscreen in your car?
Honestly, I haven't really used it. When I got the car, I was actually contemplating between the Model 3 and the Model Y. The Model Y doesn't have a screen, unless we have the new Model Y coming soon. Hint, hint, Elon Musk. But I think the screen is going to be useful for kids in the back, and I'm actually expecting a kid coming next month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's going to be a wild journey. Some parents, they say, okay, kids in the first few years, they don't want to have the kid, watching a screen all the time. But I think for the sake of sanity of the parents, I think having Disney Plus in the back seat is pretty, useful. I did pop in the back one time to watch Netflix while I was charging my car. And it's only because I was stuck in the car, not because of the car, but because where I was parked, there was a swarm of bees outside.
Wow.
So I stayed in the car for about 2-3 hours, just trying to stay alive. And not that I'm afraid of bees, but it can be a bit intimidating to have a whole swarm of bees flying outside.
I can see again, we've got all the app controls, our Netflix profiles in there, and we can watch all the shows that we want to watch. And that brings us also to one of the reasons why you mentioned you bought the Tesla was the software.
Yeah.
So with the app, we can also turn on the aircon remotely.
Which is what I'm going to do now, because, yeah.
And we could even turn it to camp mode as well, under the climate.
Climate, right?
Then you just scroll down, you see a camp
mode
feature. And so that allows us to really just enjoy the car, camp in it. My daughter loves camping in the Tesla. We pull back the back seats, put in some blankets, she'll be playing her Nintendo Switch, and I'll just be chilling, watching shows either in this smaller screen or the bigger screen, which you can mirror as well. So you can actually mirror both screens, and both screens can also have independent audio devices. That means for the rear screen, you can connect to its own Bluetooth device, like let's say your kids or passengers behind. They can put on their headphone and listen to their own movies, while the drivers in front listen to their own songs during a road trip. Really convenient. So Marcus, I could ask you, what made you pick the Cat A Tesla Model 3? There's a lot to unpack here.
So, yeah. When I first tested the Model 3, this was back in maybe January, maybe February in Singapore, I was blown away straight away by the Cat B. At the time, there was only a Cat B version of the car. I was blown away straight away. I tested it at Malena Walk, and we drove it all the way down East Coast Park and back up, and I fell in love. But when my wife drove it, she didn't really like the regen and how bitey it feels when you let go of the pedal and the car just comes to a complete. The inertia of the car is pretty strong. She didn't like it. For me, I'm okay. I like G-force. I like the feeling of acceleration. So that is one part of it. My wife doesn't like a car that is so bitey. She did like the BYD, because the BYD handles more like a traditional ICE car. When you let go of the accelerator, yes, it's regen, but then it's not so strong. It just creeps and then it regens the battery, right? And then I was actually, when I came back from the test drive, I was like, okay, I wish and I pray that they make a Cat A Tesla. And lo and behold, 3 months later, I saw in the news, Tesla announces or launches the Cat A Tesla Model 3. I said, what? And the first thing that came to mind is, okay, maybe the price is a lot better, because when my dad got his car in March, February, the Cat A COE was 55,000. And then I added 55,000 to the base price of the car. It brought the car to about 150, 140K. So wow, that's actually quite affordable for what you get. But then when I looked it up, the COE jumped up all the way to maybe 80, 90K. So, bugger. And I held off for a while. I knew I was going to get the car, the Cat A car. It was a no-brainer for me. And then sometime in August, I just pulled the trigger. I looked at the way COE was moving, and I thought, okay, at the end of the year, COE of Cat A will probably hit 100K, and which it has. I think it just hit 100 over K. So I'm happy now. And now my wife is okay with the car. She drives the car like any other car. When I let off the pedal, it's not so strong. It is there, but it's not so strong as the Cat B. Acceleration wise, I would say it's about the same.
Right now, the price difference between the Cat B and Cat A Tesla Model 3, all in, is about $15,000, depending on the COE prices. The actual car base price, if you look at Tesla's website between the Cat A and Cat B, is not that much. It's maybe only 1.5K difference.
Yeah.
It is the COE that drives the biggest difference. And Tesla and BYD, they both are the market leaders in EVs in Singapore. They both release Cat A versions of their popular sedans. We talked about how over breakfast you also test drove and considered the BYD Seal Cat A as well.
I did. Yeah.
What made you pick the Tesla Model 3 over the Seal Cat A?
So when I tested the BYD Seal, it was a very good car, to be honest. A very well made car. It's very stable. It handles like a Continental car. But when it came to the software, no offense to BYD, the software was a bit finicky for me. It has a cool feature with the screen, rotates and stuff. Very cool stuff. Very different from most cars in the market. But to me, the software was a bit finicky. Software I can get by. Software is just a small part of the car. But I think the audio, the speaker quality, is something that plays a big part in my life because I love listening to music. I'm a huge movie, cinema fan. So when I hear the rumbling of a good speaker, it gets me going. It gets me going. So when in the Seal, the speakers were more, spacey. It's not as tight as what a Tesla can offer. And I don't know what kind of speakers they actually use in the Tesla, but when I compared the Tesla and the BYD, speakers wise, the Tesla was the clear, winner in that department. And the next one that I wasn't a big fan of in the BYD was the how cluttered the instruments were. So if you look in the Tesla, it's so minimal, and that was my design language that I really wanted. Around the car, I don't install mods here and there. So with the BYD, you have the signal indicators, you have buttons on the steering wheel, and it looks very bulky. Not very clean, not very minimalist. But that also I can close one eye. But when I tested the drive,
the gear shift,
yeah, I think they were going for a diamond-looking design language. But when I actually held onto it, it's very plasticky. Yeah, and in the Tesla, I don't feel that plasticky feeling. It's very well made, very solid with the Alcantara and everything.
And you all notice that, in fact, there is no physical gear shifter on the Tesla.
Yeah.
There are no physical turn signal stalks on the Tesla. Everything is either through buttons on the steering wheel, which we'll see later, and the gear shift is actually on the right side of the screen, which we'll also notice later. Otherwise, everything is very minimalist. There's a hazard light on top, and there are emergency gear shifters on top when you're in drive mode as well. Otherwise, it's a glass roof here. The BYD Seal does have a panoramic glass roof, so it doesn't have this bar. So that's one nice thing it has going for it.
Yeah, I actually was a big fan of the one-piece glass. But then I realized actually it's not a reason why I should buy a car or why I shouldn't buy a car, because as a driver I would spend 95% of the time in the front seat and I wouldn't even notice this. But I think when I sit in the back, it's going to be nice, when you look up.
That's right.
You look at the sky and everything.
Yeah.
Not that people do that a lot in Singapore.
It is definitely a perk for the rear passengers. I imagine for us, we're not in the rear of the Tesla as much, but here, being in the back, you can really appreciate the glass roof more.
Unless we have full self-driving.
That's right.
Unsupervised. I will be chilling in the back with a drink and a cocktail, and okay, maybe not a cocktail, but like a light snack in the back. Yeah.
So hopefully one day, right now we don't have FSD supervised in Singapore, which means Marcus and I are going to go back to the front seats. we're going to drive to one of his favorite destination chargers, because one hidden perk that many people don't realize is that Tesla owners can actually charge a lot for free.
Yes.
So let's head
And
in front and see you there.
we will get you there. Free energy. Oof.
So we're here in the front seats of the Tesla, and I see that you really customized your color to match your wrap.
Yeah, I did. It took me a while to look for the setting to do it, but got there in the end.
The software has a lot of customization, like inside the car. You can actually change the lights and the display on the car as well. Over here, you can actually you see your car name, which is Stella, space fan, and we click on this color. It allows us to use the color wheel to change the color of our car. So lots of customization. So you can see that here is where we can customize our accent lights. That's what Tesla calls it, or the interior lights. Now, one good use case when Marcus talk about software is Tesla is one of the few vehicles that allows you to change driver profiles instantly on software. So you can have, let's say, 5, 6 driver profiles, yourself, your wife, or your siblings or family members driving it. And what I love about the lights is when everyone picks a different color. So when people use my car, I always tell them, pick a color. So like my friend drives it, suddenly the color turns to orange or turns to green.
It changes with your different
Exactly.
profiles.
So
Okay.
the accent lights, the seat configuration, the steering wheel, the side mirrors, they all change with the driver's profile.
Okay.
And even though it's such a simple, underrated feature, very few cars offer the driver's profile. So that's something to take in mind if you're using a car with multiple drivers.
And I would assume with this profile feature, when we finally get the robo-taxi, every time you hop in a car, it changes according to your profile.
Absolutely. When I drive the Teslas at Turo in Germany or US, when I log in with my Tesla app, everything goes back
Changes
to my,
wow,
to my profile. And if you drive like Cybertruck, Model, or the Sexy range, there's a slightly different profile based on the type of car as well.
Yeah, okay, that's
When I go in a Model X the first time, I'll need to configure it. But the next time I go to any other Model X, I found that it follows my profile. So there you go.
wow, I didn't know that.
I think that's the power of software and hardware integration coming together. One nuance that Tesla owners will notice on the Cat A Tesla, which is my first time going in, is that under dynamics, there is no chill and normal steering. It's just one mode of steering.
Yeah.
You can change the steering weight, but otherwise acceleration, it's one mode, which is 8.6 seconds. Now that's compared to 6.1 seconds in the rear-wheel drive Cat B version. It's not that much of a difference.
Honestly, you wouldn't even feel it.
So let's navigate now to your favorite destination charging.
We will. Maybe, there you go.
There you go, his favorites.
Okay. We have all these healthy people running around.
That's right, very green place over here.
And I assume the exit is on this side.
That's correct. So as we drive, Marcus, is this the first EV you've owned?
Yes, it is the first EV I've owned. Before this, I came from a Volvo. It was a V40. It's a petrol car. I got it because it was, Volvo is one of the safest brands in the world.
200 meters, turn right onto Tyersall Avenue.
And I wanted it for, safety for my wife and, potentially kids. But then after a year, it's only a year old, secondhand, I found that, things were breaking down here and there. I had a coolant leak, I had something here, an oil leak, and here and there, every few months I'm bringing it to the shop to maintain and repair. And every 5,000 miles, 5,000 kilometers, I'll be bringing it down as well for service. And every time I do it, it's time. Money is one thing, but time is also gone. And one of the biggest reasons why I was looking for a Tesla or like an EV was because of the maintenance. A lot of people say that every year they only spend maybe even zero, right? I think on maintenance. At most, maybe you change the tires, you fill up the wiper fluid, and that's all. So I hope that now that I've transitioned to EV, I'm going to spend less time and money on maintenance costs every year.
I believe you will. I've had my Model 3 for almost 8 months now.
Yeah.
9 trips to Malaysia, and I haven't had to change anything. I did one tire rotation and that's it.
In 200
Once a
meters,
year,
turn
change the
left
cabin
onto
air
Holland
filter,
Road.
or once you start smelling something different. So we approached the intersection.
Now turn left onto Holland
We talked
Road.
about how we're trying to get used to the turn signals. How has it been
Yeah,
for you?
so a lot of my friends, when they hop in the car, they say their initial reaction is to do this, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing there. Then they start to panic, and then they find a button, and they see so many logos on the thing.
In 200
And
meters, turn left
honestly,
onto
I got
Holland
used to
Road.
it within 2 hours. Maybe because I'm, I don't know, younger. I'm not sure, but it took me just 2 hours to get used to it. And I actually find
Now
it
turn left
it's a
onto
more
Holland
natural
Road.
thing to do because I'm driving with. Most of the time when I'm driving, I have this hand here anyway. So I just hop down, hop right, up and down, and it's very easy. And there's a little notch here as well that I think it's for ergonomics.
Yeah.
So I just rest my hand here, my thumb, and if I want to go left, I just go down. If I want to go right, just go up.
And it's
Very
also
easy.
just like the tactile way to feel the left and right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's not a physical button, right? It's more like a, how to say, like a no, haptics.
Haptic.
Yeah, haptics.
Yeah, it's like the Apple touchpads.
Yeah, exactly. The thing I like about this signal is, well, the indicators is when you change lane,
Mhm.
you go right. When we actually physically change lane, it turns off by itself
That's right.
and it goes away.
Coming from a Volvo, which is a very established brand, like how is the build quality here and also the ride comfort?
So my Volvo was very well built. It was built in, I think it was Belgium. When you knock on the exterior of the car, it's very solid. You know, you realize if you drive a Volvo, other drivers will be very afraid of hitting you. I realized the Toyota Priuses that the taxi drivers, they will give way to me. But it's just a fun thing about a Volvo. But the comfort in that Volvo wasn't that great. It was a 3-year-old car. No, 7-year-old car. Sorry, 7-year-old car. It wasn't that great in terms of comfort. Of course, it's not a bad car to sit in. When it goes over humps, because of the age of the car, maybe the suspension,
In 200 meters,
you can actually
turn right onto
feel
Galway Road.
every bump, every nook and cranny in the road. But when I got in this car, it's smooth. You know, it's solid. It's smooth. When I go over a hump, it's just very refined.
turn right
The
onto
experience,
Galway Road.
I think. I don't really know the right word to say it to explain it, but that's how I would. You know, when I go over a pothole, I barely even feel it. So I would say Tesla did a good job on making this car. And I think I heard some complaints about the old Model 3, where it was less, stable in terms
Correct.
of going over humps.
Correct. I think for a lot, you can see like this road here, like a lot of curves, humps.
Yeah, it handles very well.
It's quiet. Coming
So-
from the old Model 3, it's like a night and day difference. It's almost like upgrading from a Toyota to a Lexus. That's how some owners feel.
Yeah, so that's the other thing as well about Teslas. When I got this Tesla, people's perception of the brand is very different from, say, a Toyota or Honda, because people see the car and say, "Wow, you got a Tesla," and to me, in my brain, because I like to think about how people market things and how people perceive things, psychologically, I think Tesla did a very good job on brand recognition, brand perception. Because if you compare the price of a Toyota Prius and both brand new Toyota Prius and a brand new Tesla Model 3, I think they're about the same price. If not, the Prius might be about 10K more expensive. And people's brand perception of
In
Toyota
200 meters,
is
turn left
cheap
onto Stevens Road.
and reliable. Yeah, but Tesla, people think it costs more than it actually is, but actually it doesn't cost more. From my experience, the
Now bear right onto
Cat
Woodland
A
Road.
version has the same acceleration power from 0 right up to about maybe 70, 80. And then that's where the Tesla sales advisor told me the power drops off. But honestly, I don't feel the difference between a Cat A and a Cat B. When I'm on a highway at 80, 90, and I have to overtake somebody, I still get the power that I need. So now we're about 60.
Now stay straight to take a
And
Woodley
say I want to
right.
overtake someone. I'm just gonna wait for the turnout.
You definitely feel the power.
Yeah, it does.
It's more than enough.
It's more than enough for Singapore roads, but once
In
you
200 meters.
once you hit about 70, it does drop off. But you can feel it's about the same when you go from 0.
That's right. It's zippy enough. And
Now keep right to stay
people
on
love
PIE.
the Model 3 just for how well it handles on the road. Marcus, in your experience, this car has a WLTP range of 513 km. What is your real-world driving range in the past month owning this car?
I would say, if I recall correctly, it should be about
Now keep right to stay on
420 kilometers. Realistically, I charge it between 50%. Once it hits 50, I'm just gonna charge it up to 100. So I think 50 to 100. Like I think you can see here, right? Since charge, I've done 230
Correct.
kilometers, and that's about 60% of the battery that's used. And of course, it's not all pure driving. Some days I just sit in the car and think about life. And I leave the AC on and I sit here for about 2 hours. Yeah, so I think most of the battery goes to the air conditioning and the electrics, maybe watching a movie or something. As geeky as it sounds,
300 meters.
I have a
Keep right to
spreadsheet
stay
that
on
shows
PIE
me
towards
how much
Changi
money I'm
Airport.
saving on electricity compared to gas. And I think up to this point, I've traveled 1,005 kilometers in this car.
That's right.
I've saved about $300 in gas. Yeah, I would
Solid.
say $300 in gas.
And that's just a month in.
Yeah, just a month in, $300. But I've been exclusively charging at the destination charges, which have been free for me. You just pay for the parking. But some days I get free parking and it's completely free.
Here you go now, we're on autopilot. How's your experience autopilot in Singapore?
For me, I've used it mostly in the expressway. I would say it's pretty well made. It does do a bit of it does have a higher sensitivity to safety. Let's say when a motorcycle comes, and motorcycles like to lane split, right?
That's right.
So they'll come in quite close to the car and the car will stop.
You see another one coming
Yeah,
here.
so this time it doesn't stop. But if the bike was a bit on the right, it will, brake for me a little bit, which honestly is good. But it can be a bit, sudden.
Agree.
Yeah, for a pregnant wife on the passenger seat, the G-force of the inertia can be a bit concerning. But for me, I'm fine.
So far today, we're noticing that there's no major jerks. Autopilot has been very smooth with cars coming in and out of lanes for some time. I noticed in recent weeks, maybe in the newer software updates, that it's less jerky with motorcycles now. So if the motorcycle is just cutting through or just going fast, it's okay. If the bike stops, like you see the red brake sign, then the car may still be a bit more jerky. And the good thing is, these are all software updates. Since I got my car 8 months ago, it has only progressively gotten better. Just like how we update our iPhone software. It doesn't cost us anything to get a vehicle that constantly improves. Here we are turning into the East Coast Park Service Road. And we're just 2 minutes out from National Sailing Centre. And this presents us a good opportunity to experience the 0 to 50 acceleration.
Alrighty, let's make sure it's all good and safe.
You can see a good quiet road ahead of us.
It's like you're taking off in a plane. So ready?
That's right, yes. You definitely feel it. It's solid. So it's supposed to be 8.6 seconds to go from 0 to 100. It feels zippier than that. And we're already at our destination. So National Sailing Centre is on our left. It's one of the most underrated Tesla destination charges we can find, and also one of the largest ones in Singapore.
Okay, let's see. There's a lot, and it's completely empty.
Yeah, there's one Model 3 there. The original pre-refreshed Model 3. And us. So, National Sailing Centre, easy to get to. And you can see over there we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stalls of destination charges. Why do you like coming to this destination charger?
For me, it's close by to where I live, and honestly, I think it does something to your lifestyle because when you come here to charge, it takes about 3-4 hours to go from 50, maybe 40 to 100, 40-50% to 100%. And when you get bored, you think of things to do, right? So I started to go for walks. I started to run, and yeah, think about life. And also, there are planes that fly around.
Yes.
So I really enjoy looking at them. Yeah. So, all right, we're here.
That's right. So let's head out. Let's charge, and we'll share with everyone a final verdict of this car.
Okie dokes. So the interesting thing about Sailing Center is the lot that you're standing in now is actually a slower charger because I think it was under repair for some time. So they lowered the output from 16 amperes to 12 amperes, I think. I didn't know this until one day I came here, I charged it, it was a lot slower. And in the Tesla community, in the chat, they told me, yeah, because they repaired it.
Wow.
So
that's a great tip.
Yeah.
And that's it. You see the light turning from blue, communicating, to green, which means it's charging right now. And you can see from the car's window, the state of charge is charging at 34% right now, over here. And just as Marcus was mentioning,
Yeah.
you can see the planes up here.
It's an old AirAsia A320.
So a fun fact is that you train as a pilot.
Yeah.
So you do fly occasionally
Yeah,
as
I
well.
do.
Tell us about that.
So before I moved back to Singapore, I was in New Zealand. I was training to be a commercial pilot. So I was there for about 2.5 years. I flew propeller planes. I eventually got my license, and lo and behold, I came back to Singapore in the peak of COVID, where there was 0 jobs in aviation. Everybody was losing their jobs, left, right, center. A few friends of mine who were flying for airlines, they had no jobs for a few years. So I came back, and yeah, had nothing going for me for a few years. But fortunate enough to be in a country where there are a lot of industries that are booming, and I found myself in shipping. So I also like to come here because I can see ships.
Yeah, all the ships on the horizon.
Currently, I'm in oil and gas, bunkering industry, and I come here to look at the ships and also the plane, and it's symbolic to me because it connects the two, air and sea together. People think it's stupid, but to me it's
Not at all.
it's my life.
Both worlds collide here from
Yeah.
again your passion for flying up in the skies. So I think every 2 or 3 minutes you'll see a plane coming down to Changi,
Yeah.
and you see all the ships in the horizon. There you go, you see another plane.
Now I have a
What
Scoot
model is that?
aircraft.
Can you give us a tip? Like how do we tell what model planes
so
these
from
are?
afar it's a bit tough. This is a Scoot aircraft, so it's a 320. You can see because of the wingtips, you can see a little L shape, and that's the Airbus A320 from Scoot. And Scoot only flies 2 models of aircraft, which is the Airbus 320 and the Boeing 787. So these are the short haul regional flights made China, Thailand, Indonesia, one of them. And yeah, every 3 minutes, Singapore is one of the busiest airports in the world. Every 2 minutes you have an aircraft landing. If you're lucky enough, you can see the big 380. My dad used to fly a 380, and you would see it rumbling down the airway. It's a good sight to see.
Love the stories and insight here. As we come to the front of the car, let's do a recap. Normally I'm the one asking, but I want to hear from you, Marcus. Like, who would you recommend the Cat A Tesla Model 3 to?
Honestly, for Singaporean drivers, I would say everyone should really look at the Cat A Model 3 for what you get in a lower cost package. It's honestly quite worth it. If you're the kind that will probably put your car into chill mode, you drive not so fast, you're not looking to overtake the entire country. Honestly, Cat A is an eye-opener. If you're also new to EVs, I would say it's also a very interesting car. If you have kids, Cat A is also very, I think, suitable. That's one of the main reasons why I got a Cat A. I think kids in the back seat, if you drive, a Cat B, which is, it can be a bit more zippy on the acceleration. I think kids will find it more comfortable in the Cat A, especially if the kids are, so small. Sitting in the car seat and the car is moving back and forth, I think a Cat A is really, a good car. Maybe wait 3-5 years when the child is a bit older, and you can, get a performance version of this car. I don't know.
Love the tips and perspective, Marcus. Thank you again so much for
Thanks
sharing
for
us
having
your
me.
journey.
Yeah.
Congratulations again on your first Tesla Model 3, a month in. Now this is a great car. So we are closing this. You can see the next plane coming up just behind us.
It's a 737.
A 737 over here. Let us know what you think down in the comments. I think there are many great EV options in Singapore today. Test drive the Cat A Model 3. You'll find a link in the video description together with a referral code from Marcus where you get $600 off when you buy a Tesla Model 3 using his referral code, limited to the first 10 referrals. And of course, also consider test driving other EVs as well. I know many of you, just like Marcus, would also test drive the BYD Seal Cat A so that you'll be able to appreciate what's the best car for you. Thank you so much. If you found this video useful, please click the like button and hit subscribe to stay updated to more videos on Tesla. Signing off from National Sailing Center.